Welcome to the second episode in the second year of The View from Here. My 89th birthday is behind me now, so I can really claim to be a certified old-timer. Let us go to this one here, because I found that the other day. The secret of genius is to carry the spirit of the child into old age, which means never losing your enthusiasm, written by Aldous Huxley. And that's basically where I'm at, because I do feel I've got a lot of fun and I am enthused about a lot of things, such as today's program, which I think really has some great videos and shows in it that you will enjoy. The first video coming up soon is from a 9-year-old boy, Ezra Frech, or maybe Frech, I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name, F-R-E-C-H. He impressed me deeply. I think I'll remember his face for the rest of my life. And let's go into the video number A, which starts now, and that will get you to Ezra.
What was different about your body when you were born?
I was actually born with one finger on my left hand and a full left leg, but it was curved. I had surgery when I was 2.5 years old to remove the part that was curved, so I had a stump that they could put a prosthetic leg on. And then they took the big toe from that and they put it on my left hand, so I have 2 fingers. I did tons of physical therapy to try to get my new finger to work like a real finger and not like a toe. I was always trying to figure out how to bring them together and how to get them to come together and touch. And I was sitting in the shower and it touched. And it was amazing. I was running around the house screaming, "Yay, I did it!" Because that was like the first milestone.
Do you feel different than other kids?
Sometimes I do. People do stare and whisper. I'll be thinking like, there's tons of kids in this world. How did he happen to choose me to be one of the kids that had to get their leg taken away? And I asked God, like, can you please give me a leg? Somehow, some way. Well, then I have to think, I was born like this. I can't change it. And when I play sports, I don't feel different. I don't think about anything else. I just think about what's happening in the game.
Would you say sports have become a ritual for you?
Yes, because I feel like if I don't play sports every day, I feel weird. I've always felt like sports is where I can go when I'm sad or lonely or anything. I love competition. I love the feeling. I love being under pressure and everything. When I'm playing sports, I go from thinking about all the other things to game mode. When I'm in the zone, I feel like I have this like fire around me. And then the flames pop up and have this circle around it. So any thoughts that try to come in and they get burned by the fire and they don't let in.
Do you feel you have to work harder than other kids?
Oh yes. I bet kids when they take a step, oh I took a step, big deal. For me, when I take a step, I say, oh no big deal, but I thought about every little bit. I put so much pressure on my body from being in a prosthetic all day. I come home, I'm like dying from back pain, and I have to stretch before I go to bed every night.
So how do you stay positive?
I have to think about what I have instead of what I don't have. I have a great life. I have a great family. I have great legs. I have great friends. I have a great school. I could go on for years. I'm just grateful that I have so many things that are great in my life. There's lots of challenges in people's life, and that's a little wall right there. So I try to break down that wall. If I'm just running around like playing soccer or shooting a layup, I don't think about it. I don't feel different when I'm playing sports because that takes me away from my disability, but it's a good thing that I'm born like this. I've learned to be confident in myself. I've learned how to be strong.
Firefighters see difficult things every day. Click to watch as one shares his inspiring ritual in this episode.
All right. Amazing guy, this Ezra, isn't he? Amazing guy. He is grateful for what his life brings him. And that is why his life is been so exciting and rewarding. Ezra can be an inspiration to all of us. And I remember just watching this again when he talks about the fire that goes in him when he forgets about his problems and his disabilities, and he just goes for it. It shows that we as human beings are more than our body. We have a body, but we aren't our body, and depending on how we look at ourselves and work with our body, we can really be a human being, or we can just be often, if we only just look at our body and the problems it has, we're going to be depressed. So he is an example to all of us. This leads into a little story I want to tell you because it's related. 35 years ago, I heard a Yugoslavian freedom fighter tell his gripping life story, which held the audience spellbound. This man had spent 10 years of his life in jail. And at the end of his talk, the floor was open for questions, and here was one of them. What was the most important thing you learned from your 10 years in jail? He stood there. And he said, well, I need to think about that. Nobody has ever asked me that question. And there he stood. He was not concerned about not speaking. The audience sat very quietly. You could hear a pin drop, waiting for the answer. Finally, he said, I think the most important thing I learned is that there is no such thing as an accident. In other words, he was saying that accidents and random coincidences are an illusion, that there are deeper reasons why people may meet an accident in their life. This may sound crazy to you, but it is worth examining and thinking about. When our 9-year-old friend Ezra says that he discovered that, and those were his words, that it was a good thing that he was born this way with the handicaps he had, Ezra is also saying, in a way, this was no accident, I feel. And to give you one more illustration of this whole theme of thinking about accidents or no accidents. A few months ago, something happened to me that I feel was clearly not an accident. A good friend who lives in Vermont and whom I had not seen for some time left me a phone message one morning at 11 a.m. that she happened to be in town. Could we meet and eat at the co-op cafeteria at 1 p.m.? Well, I was away from home at that time when the message came in. I was first doing errands, then driving to Rinch. I do some volunteer medical transportation every week. And sometimes I'm hungry after this and I drive directly to the co-op cafeteria in Keene, but at varying times. Well, at that day, that's what I did. I drove directly to the co-op without going home, without finding the message. So totally unaware of this message, I walk into the co-op cafeteria at maybe 2 or 3 minutes before 1 o'clock. And I spot a friend I hadn't seen for a long time sitting at a table. And she says, "Great, I see you got my message." I say, What message? She explains, and we both marvel at this amazing event. Well, it's worth thinking about. Did I get the message somehow on a subconscious level? But there it was. That happened to me some time ago, and it's worth thinking about. So now it's time for us to get ready for our second video. And for that, we will go to the side camera here and take a look at something that nowadays we don't look at too often, namely the globe. Because I borrowed one from the library upstairs here, promising to bring it right back. We're going to go, as we are here, let me see now. We are here in North America, and if we go almost straight north, here is Newfoundland, we come to this great landmass that, strangely enough, is called Greenland, although there's probably less green than in any other place on the earth, because it's basically covered with ice. We go to Greenland on this side of Greenland, and we have some people there, two guys, Jeff Orlovsky and Adam Lewinter, who traveled there in 2008 and a remote part of Greenland to film something that has now gone on record as the largest glacier calving event that was ever captured on a film. You know, the calving of a glacier is when large chunks break off and become floating icebergs. The calving event at this glacier lasted for a duration of 75 minutes, during which time the glacier retreated 75 minutes, 1 hour, 15 minutes. It retreated a full mile across the whole calving face that was 3 miles wide. So it retreated, or maybe I should show it this way, it retreated 1 mile, it's 3 miles wide. And that's what you will be seeing on this video. And we'll talk to you more after that. So let's go to the video B, which shows this amazing event.
I'm on the phone with Jim on one of our regular check-ins. Like, Jim, nothing's happening.
Hey, Jim. It's going well. We had some serious bouts of wind, but other than that, things are fairly well set up here. We've got some continuous time lapse going.
It's starting, Adam. I think. Adam, it's starting.
Oh wait, Jim, this is the big piece is starting to calve. Let me call you back.
Call him back.
Okay, bye.
Still going? Yeah. In that V section right there. Holy shit, look at that big bird rolling. All four running, right?
Yeah. Look at that. You see how, look at the whole thing.
calving face is 300, sometimes 400 feet tall. Pieces of ice were shooting up out of the ocean 600 feet and then falling. The only way that you can really try to put it into scale with human reference is if you imagine Manhattan. And all of a sudden, all of those buildings just start to rumble and quake and peel off and just fall over and roll around. This whole massive city just breaking apart in front of your eyes. We're just observers, these two little dots on the side of the mountain. And we watched and recorded the largest witness calving event ever caught on tape.
So how big was this calving event that we just looked at? We'll resort to some illustrations again to give you a sense of scale. It's as if the entire lower tip of Manhattan broke off, except that the thickness, the height of it, is equivalent to buildings that are 2.5 or 3 times higher than they are. That's a magical, miraculous, horrible, scary thing. I don't know that anybody's really seen the miracle and horror of that. It took 100 years for it to retreat 8 miles from 1900 to 2000. From 2000 to 2010, it retreated 9 miles. So in 10 years, it retreated more than it had in the previous 100.
All right, that was an awesome display. What stood out for me in there was that amazing moment when this huge, incredibly huge iceberg, shaped like a whale, rises up out of the water. It is totally amazing. And we are watching this on a screen at a safe distance. These guys who actually filmed this and had this right in front of them, 3 miles of this continental glacier front, and the sounds that they heard when this happened too, the sounds are amazing. I think those were very much reduced because they might have shattered our loudspeakers. So that was an amazing moment. And it's important to remember at the end that this glacier receded more in 10 years than it had in the previous 100 years. More recent reports from 2015 show that other continental glaciers, because Greenland has, a number of them, it's basically covered with continental glaciers, that others are also accelerating. The Istrom glacier in northeast Greenland, that's on the other side of Greenland, is dropping 5 billion tons of ice into the ocean each year at the moment. The complete collapse of just this one Istrom glacier would result in a sea rise of 18 inches. And even if it might take for the next 80 years for that to happen, an 18-inch rise in sea level is an amazing thing to think about, and there are other glaciers. I think that the message of this is, yes, let us take climate change seriously. Let's stop the nonsense of kidding about it and saying it isn't happening. I think everything we can do to slow down this process will be helpful, especially for all the people who live close to the ocean all over the earth. And now, next, we will move to a completely different subject. We're going to go for some very special music by the Royal Winds, a recorder ensemble from the Netherlands that is featuring 13 recorder players. Well, what you hear on this program at the beginning, at the end is recorded music. I play a tenor on that, and my friend plays an alto. This is, I also play a soprano, but that's just I brought it here to show. The recorded family is amazing. There is a soprano, as you see here, then there's a sopranino that's about this long, which is like the piccolo of the recorder family. Then there's an alto, and I play tenor, and there are a lot more, and as you will see on the next video, that is starting now, there are amazing 8 and 10 foot high recorders. Let's go to the next video.
I'm David Garland here on WQXR, and I'm really pleased that joining me in the green space at this moment is the Royal Wind Music. It's an ensemble from the Netherlands, and they have 13 members, each of whom is going to play multiple recorders. It's a huge recorder ensemble, playing, in some instances, huge recorders. There's one that's 10 feet tall. There's another that's about 4 inches long. Welcome to the Royal Wind Music, and introduce us to the sound of the ensemble.
I apologize for not bringing this one because we are a little short of time, but the Royal Winds, if you're on the internet, you can find them. I just discovered them a few days ago, and they are really a great group, and you might enjoy finding them there. And I might bring more of that in the future. Now, for the rest of this, I feel that I need to talk a little bit about what I'm actually trying to do with this program. I think what you saw today is typical of what I'm aiming for in the future too. There's a lot of trash and garbage on the internet, but there's also treasures and gems out there, and it takes a lot of work to find them, but I think I've found some in the past. Some of you have seen previous programs will agree with me. And we hope to have a lot more of those in the future. I am lining up several for the next time. So if you want to see what has been done in the past in this respect and what is on previous programs, I want you to be aware that, and I can hold this up this way, I think you can read that this way. If you find this on the internet, if you type this in, you will get my website, and besides Cheshire TV, where you can see this only on a program, if you have a chance of going on the internet, you'll find all previous 22 episodes, and they have a whole variety of things. Each one has a description of what is in it, and there are some of them that stand out in my memory as things of the last year that I want to mention, because if you haven't seen them, I think maybe you would be interested in seeing them, because I just can't forget them. I'm so glad I found them and that I brought them here. So Let me just mention a few of them. In December, we had the murmuration of starlings, which was this amazing video where 100,000s of starlings whirl through the sky and blacken it at one time. And the sound that they make, that I think in and by itself is an awesome video. Then we had the Polish glass duo playing on wine glasses. I think they have done some amazing things. And we had earlier in the year kayakers plunging down Doan's Falls in northern Massachusetts nearby, which I thought was also quite a spectacular video. We had Gladney sound demonstrations connecting what is actually happening when a tone is sounded. What is actually happening in any material that makes a pure tone? Something happens in the surface that is invisible, but that is fascinating to watch. That was done in February. And so those are just some of the examples that you may find. If you go to Gerhard Bedding YouTube, you'll find all of them with a description of each one. And it might be fun for you to look at some of them, because I think there are some extraordinary videos there. Thank you for today. This is it, and we'll see you next time. I've got some good things lined up.